Back here at Bob Jones University, Greenville, South Carolina, the Final Four left here. Number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4 still standing. Seeds 5 through 8 have completed their 2018 volleyball campaigns, and a couple national semifinals coming up here with a ticket to tomorrow's national championship on the line. Hi, everybody. It's Rick Cooper, one of the voices of the NCCAA. We welcome you to National Championship Volleyball action presented to you by Aramark. With expertise in food, uniforms, and facilities, Aramark lets you focus on what you do best. Aramark, we dream, and we do. And so we thought coming into this on Thursday there would be some surprises, and there have been plenty of competitive volleyball matches, but everything to this point has gone as expected. There may have been Arlington may have knocked off Toccoa in the final pool play match of the day, and that was it. Outside of that, every higher seed has taken care of business, and what it has left us with in this semifinals is number 1, Bob Jones. The champions of Pool A will take on Geneva College. The Golden Tornadoes at 21-13 in their first ever NCCAA Division II National Championship action. The Bruins in at 34-5, the Golden Tornadoes at 21-13, and the winner, as we said, moves on to the National Championship match tomorrow at 1. The loser's season comes to a screeching halt, and you look at Bob Jones, there are no seniors on this roster. Well, they have the one senior, I take that back, Rachel Tubbs-Williams, pretty good one too. And you look at the Golden Tornadoes, really some key pieces that are playing for their lives. Talking about Sydney McNulty, their senior outside hitter. Their libero is a senior as well. Talking about McKenna Schick and also Alyssa Kerr, their right side player. And so these young ladies, 4 of them, 3 for Geneva, 1 for Bob Jones, know that tonight, 60 minutes, 75 minutes from now, their volleyball career could be over. So we expect a good one in our first match of the day. Again, it is the champions of Pool A, Bob Jones University, against the number 2 team coming out of Pool B, that being the Geneva College Golden Tornadoes. Later tonight, it'll be a 4th meeting of the year between number 2 Maranatha and number 4 Emmaus Bible College. Maranatha dropped the first meeting between those two teams at Maranatha back on September the 11th in 4 sets. They have since beaten Emmaus 2 straight, including 3-0 in a North Regional final just some 13 days ago. So should be a fun one here tonight. 2 semifinals, a good crowd. The home fans here trying to get Bob Jones to the national championship in just their 3rd year of intercollegiate athletics. And they are led, Bob Jones, plenty of firepower, but Rachel Tubbs-Williams, a good one to keep an eye on, the first team All-American and South Region Player of the Year, averaging 9 assists per set, which is a nation's best. She has gotten plenty of help in this championship from middle hitter Catherine Ring, 2.2 kills per set. Ring had 7 kills and 6 blocks in their win earlier today. And on the outside, a pretty good freshman, talking about Brooke Beaver, the 5'7" freshman from Kissimmee, a team best 3.2 kills per set. For Geneva College, Sydney McNulty gave Maranatha all kinds of trouble earlier, 3.3 kills per set and a 21% attack percentage. She had 71 attack attempts in that 5-set loss earlier today to the Maranatha. So that's a one to keep an eye on. They've got a pretty good setter as well, Daphne Hunsinger, who their head coach says may be the most dynamic player in the championship. Right now we turn it over to Lloyd Henderson for tonight's starting lineup.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Davis Fieldhouse for the NCCAA D2 National Tournament. Tonight's match features the number 3 seed Geneva College and the number 1 seed Bob Jones University. We do ask at this time that everyone that can stand to stand, remove your caps, and join us in a word of prayer followed by the playing of our national anthem. We'll be led in prayer tonight by Miss Judy Fox. She's the tournament champion and part of Ignite International.
Let's pray together. Father, we thank you for having brought us to this point in the tournament. Thank you for these 2 great teams representing great institutions. focused on just glorifying you and everything that they do. Father, give these athletes an incredible game this evening. Give the coaches wisdom, and just give us a great night of competition. We thank you so much for the gifts and talents you've given to each one of them, and just ask that we would use everything we say, everything we do, Lord. Let us behind the cross, and let those who are watching only see you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Now the starting lineup for the Geneva Golden Tornadoes. Wearing number 1, Kayla Huffman. Number 3, Daphne Hunsinger. Wearing 7, Elena Hoppel. Number 8, Millicent Duffmeyer. Number 13, Sydney McNulty. Wearing 14, Grace Holdeman. And the libero for the Tornadoes is number 12, McKenna Schick. Now the starting lineup for the Bruins, wearing number 2, Rachel Williams. Number 5, Brooke Bieber. Wearing number 9, Catherine Ring. Number 13 for BJU, Jordan Anderson. Wearing 16, Laura Gaston. Number 18, Courtney Bates. And the libero is Miss Selena Walker.
Well, just about set to get things underway here at Bob Jones University, and Vicky Denny always difficult to beat, and Geneva going to have to try to do it on the Bob Jones home floor. So Bruins come in at 34-5, Geneva College 21-13. Geneva plays in an NCAA Division III conference, the President's Athletic Conference. They were 10-8. In that league. Bob Jones, of course, in that South region, a perfect 12-0 on the year. They have won all 15 Division II matches this season. They have not lost a Division II match since that loss to Maranatha, the 3 seed in last year's national semifinals. Diane Penner is our R1, 35 years as an official up on the ladder. David Morton, 25 years, is our R2, and we had to have that information, Kent Delosier. There has been so much interaction between coaches and referees. We have gone to video monitors. We have had 20-minute discussions about a single point, so can only imagine. There's David Morton, our R2, getting everybody set, substitutions right before we get this thing underway. Bob Jones University. On the right side of your monitor, the blue jerseys, the gold numbers. Geneva College on the left side of your screen, gray uniforms, gray jerseys. Out of Pennsylvania, Beaver Falls, about 35 miles northwest of Pittsburgh, and we are underway with the opening set in national semifinal number 1. Rachel Williams, the first-team All-American, with the first set of this match. And Geneva with an attack attempt up front. McNulty was met at the net. And it was a block, the first point of the match to the Bruins. Coach Wendy Smith already having dialogue with our R2. I'm not kidding. You folks that have not watched this, I've been doing this quite a while, and I have not seen as much interaction, coaches and officials disputing calls, disputing scores, disputing balls that are coming from the other side of the floor, so it'll be interesting. Tied at 1 apiece. Geneva with the serve here. And it's a service error out of the hand of Renee Rechtenwald, and where Regina Delosier would like to say, where was that about 5 hours ago when Rechtenwald caught fire as part of a 16-0 Geneva run in the third set against Maranatha. They won that third set. Maranatha won the fourth and eventually won, 15-13 in set number 5. And Wendy Smith, unlike the way this thing has started, and she's called a timeout. And again, she's still working the R2 David Morton here. And Geneva, new to the NCCAA. She also was talking to maybe the supervisor of officials behind the table, but Wendy Smith, Geneva, new to the NCCAA Division II, and so is Wendy Smith, and had a phone interview with her middle of last week, and she kind of joked with me. She's an amazing lady, as all of these coaches are, and she said, Rick, I am an extremely passionate individual. And she said, I've watched some of these coaches on tape, and they behave a little bit better than I do. She said, I'm a little bit afraid that I'm going to get there and get a little bit excited, and she's done that. And I told her, Coach, you absolutely do that. I said, Coach, I'm a middle school basketball coach, and I'm a wild man on the sidelines. And she is right out of the gate. I mean, we're 4 points in. Some flashing lights in this gymnasium in some of the corners. I don't know what she was upset about, but did not like something here early. Pushed over the net there by McNulty. Handled by Bob Jones, and a back row attack there. I believe that's Beaver, and it is. Got a different vantage point here. We've kind of been behind one of the teams on this side-to-side play, and now we're at midcourt. Makes securing numbers a little bit more difficult. Right side, a swing there by Anderson, who went through a block attempt. And it's now 4-2, Bruins by 2. Anderson with the serve, receive back row. There's an overpass there on that serve received by Kayla Coughlin. Right side, Gaston. It's an overpass that Ring could not take advantage of and put down. Left side, McNulty, and she put it in. It was a touch. It did drop out of bounds, but Ring touched it in play, and it's now 4-3. The Bruins by 1. Ready to serve here is Sydney McNulty, 77 aces, which is one of the best in all of the NCAA Division III. It is third, actually, nationally. Service error, though, makes it 5-3. Lauren Muckenschnabel, a back row specialist. Into the match to serve here. Daphne Hunsinger, her set a little bit late, getting to the outside hitter. Not much on it. A lot on that Bob Jones attack attempt. It's the set from Hunsinger that was a little bit off the mark. Did not give Geneva a good opportunity offensively. Bob Jones has doubled up the Golden Tornadoes here early. Hunsinger, it'll be a free ball. No, it'll be a back row attack, and she put it in. Boy, in that scenario, all you're expecting there is a free ball just to get it over the net and keep it in play. And I think Sydney McNulty, more than anything else, surprised Bob Jones on that play. Now 6-4. Serve receive, it's Beaver sliding over his Ring, and she dropped it in. Tried to meet her at the net.
Side out, Courtney Bates back to serve.
It was Casey Coastal that was over there to try to contest but could not do it. 7-4 Bob Jones, number 1 leading number 3 here early in the opening set, and it's an ace there. The libero McKenna Schick missed some time earlier in the year. 8 matches with a concussion. Decided to let that one go, and it drops in play. It's 8-4 Bob Jones. Received here by McNulty. Hunsinger feeding Coastal in the middle, and she dropped it in. Coastal stops the bleeding momentarily. Substitution coming in, Grace Holdeman. Holdeman going to be a doctor or a physician's assistant one day. Wendy Smith told me you folks in Geneva will appreciate this. Means nothing to us, but Holdeman dating one of the legendary McCracken boys. Apparently they like volleyball players. And Brianna McCracken, the Geneva assistant, actually married one of them. So that's all we'll say on that. But you folks in Geneva know the McCracken boys. 9-5 our score here. Ready to serve this one is Selena Walker. Received back row by McNulty. This is Coastal, who is getting a lot of opportunities here early, and they're going to call a carry, a lift on Selena Walker, the Bob Jones libero, who doesn't like the call. Walker, a junior from Pine Grove, Pennsylvania, best on this team at 6.7 digs per set. This is Kayla Coughlin, the freshman from near Cleveland, Brunswick High School. Attack there, received back row by Holdeman. Bob Jones looked like Walker may have carried that one, and it ends up with a Beaver kill. That thing hung on her hand a little bit longer than I think it should have. Wendy Smith has been asking for that call several times throughout this championship. Received here by Schick, back set by Hunsinger. And an attack attempt, and they're going to say somebody from Bob Jones was in the net, and that somebody, I think, was Brooke Beaver. 10-7, Bruins by 3. Side out here to Geneva College. Again, Geneva College in the Mid-East region in volleyball only. Everybody else still at the Division I NCCAA level. Also a dual affiliate in the NCAA Division III. Had to move down to Division II in women's volleyball because they were never going to be eligible for the NCCAA Division I National Volleyball Championship. Takes place a week after the NCAA III tournament. And NCAA III rules say once our tournament is over, you shall not play any more volleyball. And so they had a choice either to never have postseason opportunities with the NCCAA or make this move down. And when you make the move down, they don't scholarship, so there was no issue there. The NCCAA asks for a 3-year commitment when you make such a move. Obviously, they could still qualify for the NCAA Division III tournament, but that is tough to do. You've got to win the PAC tournament to do it, and they have done that one time in school history. Right side, and what? They're going to call a lift or a double hit on Geneva. So now 12-8. Bruins by 4. This is Jordan Anderson, the junior from San Antonio, not Florida, not Texas, Florida. Thought that had to be a mistake. I typed that in wrong. Went back to the program, and sure enough, it is San Antonio, Florida. Right side, McNulty. She couldn't have dropped it in any better. Sydney McNulty with her 3rd kill. 3 of Geneva's 9 points. Out of the right hand of the senior from State College, Pennsylvania. Same city where the Penn State Nittany Lions do business on most Saturday afternoons, and that one out of play, and it's now 13-9. Substitution as Muckenschnabel is in. Laura Gaston, their right side front row player, sits down. Muckenschnabel, a young lady that, as we have touched on throughout this championship, Vicki Denny had connections with that family 40 years ago. Taught her dad in gym class in the Windy City. That one an attack. That's a nice dig by Schick, and what? Gonna call a double hit on Geneva. And it's now 14-9. Wendy Smith going to call a timeout.
The Women's Volleyball National Tournament is being brought to you by Aramark, with expertise in food, uniforms.
She's out of timeout. She's used both of them here in this opening set. As we told you earlier, this volleyball championship brought to you by Aramark, with expertise in food, uniforms, and facilities. Aramark lets you focus on what you do best. Aramark, we dream, and we do. Want to say thanks to all of our sponsors, Servant HR, Spinks, Aramark, Bon Secours, Integra Bank, and Pepsi. Want to say thanks also to Bob Jones University. Second year they have hosted these fall championships. They'll do it again in women's volleyball next year. Men's and women's soccer heading south to Kissimmee, Florida. Men's and women's basketball will be here one more time in the month of March as well. But Bob Jones University, for over 90 years, equipping leaders to make a difference for the cause of Christ. You can find out more information by visiting bju.edu. Bob Jones University, learn, love, and lead. 52nd year that they have been in Greenville, South Carolina. Originally started out, I think, in Cleveland, Tennessee. At one point, they were on the Lee University campus, outgrew that facility, and made the move here to Greenville. Boy, that's a pretty campus as well. Well, you go down to Lee University, attended some Christ in Youth CIY summer conferences there. That is plush, 14-9. Bob Jones fan wanted to carry there, and maybe justice served as Daphne Hunsinger unable to do anything with it. It's now 15-9. Serve receive, it's McNulty. Left side, Costal dug up by that front line for Bob Jones. Little give and go as they give it to Courtney Bates. And it's side out to Geneva. And McKenna Schick, the senior from Knox, Pennsylvania, assumed the libero roles late in the year, and a couple other defensive specialists that had that role earlier in the season. Kayla Coughlin, along with Holdeman, had been the libero. Punched over here by Bates. Tight to the net, Hunsinger, a back set, and a kill by Kerr. Alyssa Kerr, one of three seniors in the starting lineup for Geneva. She drops one in, so Geneva within 4, trailing 15-11. 13 aces on the year for Schick, and a service error there makes it now 16-11. It's a third service error in this set for Geneva. So the lead is 5. Ready is Courtney Bates, the sophomore from Prairie Farm, Wisconsin. Back set, sliding over was Kerr, not much on it. Handled easily by Selena Walker. An attack, a double block attempt up there, trying to meet her near the net. Was Alyssa Kerr and Elena Hoppel, and she went right through it, 17-11. And now Daphne Hunsinger going to come over as the court captain and have some dialogue with Diane Penner. Ready again here is Courtney Bates. Bates, a flat-footed serve received by McNulty. Into the middle, they tried to feed Elena Hoppel, and it was stuffed right back onto the Geneva side of the net. Now 18-11. So Courtney Bates, the sophomore, on a bit of a roll right now. McNulty on receive. Hunsinger, back row attack, McNulty. Handled back row by Bob Jones. Beaver, an attack, and again they go right through Alyssa Kerr and Elena Hoppel. It's the 5th kill of this set for the freshman Brooke Beaver. 19-11. Courtney Bates debating where to start that serve. Going to go right back to that back left corner. 46 aces on the year, third best on this Bruins team. tight to the net. Hunsinger elects just to put it over on a setter dump. Nice dig in that back row by McNulty, but Beaver says, let's do it again. 6th kill for the freshman Brooke Beaver. And the power gets the Bruin fan base to their feet. 2011. Bruins 5 points away from an opening set win. Ready again is Courtney Bates. And a service error here now makes it 20-12. Second service error of the set for Bob Jones. Substitution, Alyssa Kerr will sit down as Grace Holdeman, the sophomore from Bloomington, Indiana, will check in. She's one of those young ladies, started at libero last year all season and early in 2018. Beaver dropped it in. Boy, you got to play the power of Brooke Beaver. They're almost in retreat mode when you see her wind up. And then she takes something off of it and you're frozen. Like a good curveball in baseball. 21-12. The libero, Selena Walker, ready here. Float serve. Schick comes up at the last moment to grab it. Into the middle, and it's Costal with a much-needed kill, but it may be too little too late in this opening set. 21-13. Sitting down is Casey Costal. Back in is Kayla Coughlin. Maybe the most interesting tidbit on this young lady, besides the fact that she's a Clevelander, which makes her incredibly awesome, is the fact that she has a sister that plays on another team in the exact same conference, and both of them were honorable mention all-pack performers. And Hunsinger, first time we've seen her go to that left hand, and has been oh so good, especially earlier today against Maranatha. And Coughlin's sister plays at Washington and Jefferson. Sister McKinsey, honorable mention all-pack. 21-14, back set here to Jordan, and eventually it leads to a Geneva kill, 21-15. And I think Vicki Denny going to call a timeout here to talk about it. 21-15, number 1 leads number 3. We're in national semifinal number 1 in set number 1. Winner of this match will take on the winner of number 2 Maranatha, number 4 Emmaus. Those two schools will get underway. Scheduled start time tonight is 7:30. Winners will play tomorrow at 1 p.m. for the national championship. We've touched on it. The only school in this field with a national championship in their history is Maranatha. They've won the last 3, and they have won 9 overall. So going to try to win a 4th in a row, but this thing is up for grabs. I mean, who knows what's going to happen in a 4th meeting tonight with Emmaus. You've got Geneva that has the firepower to win the whole thing. You've got Bob Jones and the 62-year-old Hall of Fame head coach Vicki Denny that says you've got to do it on my home floor. I remember about 3, 4, 5 years ago, championship was in Kissimmee, Florida, and a bunch of these D2 coaches didn't even want to play in Florida. Clearwater was so dominant. They were making a plea to the NCCAA, we got to move this championship out of Kissimmee. Tell you what, as she continues to build this program, they are not going to want to have to beat her on their home floor here at Bob Jones. Somebody's going to have to do that to come out of here with a banner. 21-15. And some miscommunication there. Good effort by Coughlin. Big smile on her face. She and Schick trying to go after that attack attempt. And the lead now is 7. Ready here is Rachel Tubbs-Williams. Back set by Hunsinger. Trying to set up the middle hitter, Hoppel, and it's now 23-15. Saw Geneva earlier today, Kent Delosier. I don't remember Hoppel getting as many opportunities as she is here, and Hunsinger tried to set her dump there that never got there. 24-15. Maybe the main weapon earlier today was McNulty until they got to the 5th set. She had 65 attack attempts in 4 sets and then only got 6 of them in that all-important 5th set, which was kind of perplexing to us. And that one going to drop in. Some miscommunication on that front line, and it's now 24-16. McNulty has 3 kills in this one. She was unstoppable at points earlier today, 24-16. Bruins trying to close out a first set win. And that one an ace right there. Renee Rechtenwald, we touched on it earlier, was the main culprit as part of a 16-0 run. We had it as 15-0. Talked to the Maranatha coaching staff. They said no, it was 16-0. Rechtenwald, a service error here that'll end things in that opening set.
25-17.
So Bob Jones University, the number 1 seed, impressive in set number 1 as they take care of number 3 Geneva by the final of 25-17. We'll switch sides and have set number 2 coming up. It's the 2018 NCCAA Division II National Volleyball Championships, and you're watching it here on the NCCAA Sports Network.
The NCCAA mission states, "We serve members by setting association standards, developing communications resources, providing regional and national competition, and partnering in outreach to our communities and the world." Bylaws, eligibility, statistics, and championships are all part of being an athletic association. Our services help propel intercollegiate athletics on and off campus. We intentionally place our student athletes and coaches in Christian service projects during championship events to answer the question, what would Christ do in these communities?
Well, it doesn't hurt when you hit at a 40% clip in that opening set, and that's exactly what the Bruins did. 40% as a team, 12 kills, only 2 errors on 25 attempts, and boy, got to be a little bit discouraged if you're a Geneva fan. They hit at a 30% clip and still got beat 25-17. And leading in some individuals for Geneva, Daphne Hunsinger had 3 kills. So did Casey Costal. So did Sydney McNulty. Leading killman attacker for Bob Jones was Brooke Beaver, who had 7 kills, only 1 error, 8 attempts, 75% attack percentage. 5 assists for Daphne Hunsinger, 3 for McKenna Schick from that libero spot. Rachel Williams dished out 10 assists for Bob Jones. In terms of service aces, 2 for Bob Jones and 1 for Geneva. So just about set to get things underway here in set number 2. See what everyone's talking about at visit greenvillesc.com. From beautiful landscapes to a small town Main Street, it's no wonder people from all around the world are visiting. Check out Greenville, South Carolina. That website again is visitgreenvillesc.com. Beautiful day here today, 60 degrees, sunny. We had not seen the sun. We had been here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and it was gloom and doom. I mean, we're out in the middle of nearby Furman University, staying at a Hampton Inn. I tell you what, it was hard to find the hotel. Looked like, and then the power went out. Somebody hit an electrical pole and no power at the hotel. Looked like something you'd see in a Halloween movie. It was gloom and doom, but today the sun's shining. It was deceptive. I went out today without a jacket to the car. Sun was shining. It was 36 degrees. Car was frozen over. So it is still November, Rick Cooper, and we are just about set to get things underway. We've switched sides. Bruins on the left side of your screen in set 1 in blue, or in set 2, I should say. Geneva will be on the right side of your screen in the visiting gray uniforms. And the Bruins, the first point here in set number 2. This is Brooke Beaver, the first team All-American. Received back row by McKenna Schick. Pushed over the net there by Alyssa Kerr. Dug up back row by Schick. Hunsinger. Back set to Costal. Dug up by Selena Walker. Nicely done. Back row attack McNulty. Another dig for Walker. Into the right side, it's Gaston with a swing. Handled by McNulty for Geneva. And it finally drops in, or does it? Yes, Costal gets credit for the attack from that front left position. Good effort on both sides. Bob Jones did everything they could to keep it alive. It ties the second set at 1 apiece. Ready here is McKenna Schick, and Schick with a service error. Makes it 2-1. They'll take Jordan Anderson to the service line. 29 aces on the year, 5th best on this team, appeared in 87 sets. Coming into this championship, did Anderson. Williams a quick set to ring. Schick with a huge dig in that back row, and Geneva capitalizes with one of their own. Boy, Bob Jones did everything right. Quick set to Catherine Ring, who has been highly efficient in this national championship, and give credit to McKenna Schick with a huge dig that really was a difference of 2 points there. Another opportunity for Ring, another dig, this time McNulty. Pushed over the net, and it's going to drop in again. Good touch there by Casey Costal, junior from Salem, Ohio, 3-year player, 2-year starter. Started at the right side last year, starting an outside hitter, and really has become a lot more consistent in that position, according to her head coach, Wendy Smith. Right side, Hunsinger as they change roles, and they set up Daphne. Hunsinger at 5'10", a very effective attacker. The fact that she's got a left hand makes it even more challenging to defend. That one hit the tape. A free ball is going to keep it in play. Hunsinger with a big left hand again, this time scooped up by Beaver back row. Schick with a dig of her own. Down the line, they try to find Costal, another dig by Beaver. Flat-footed attack by Bates that never got there, maybe was touched by Geneva. Opportunity here from the back row, McNulty, and it's too strong. 4-3, Bruins within one. Muckenschnabel in, Gaston will sit down. Muckenschnabel, a sophomore, Gaston, a junior. Muckenschnabel from Chicago, Illinois, or Gaston from Okeana, Ohio. I'm a Buckeye, I've got no idea where Okeana, Ohio is. Hunsinger to the left side, and Costal, and that one as she tried to test the block. Goes out of bounds, and it's now 5-3. Costal with 3 kills already. 3 of Geneva's first 5 points coming out of the hand of Casey Costal. As we said, the junior from Salem, who averages 2.4 kills per set. And a service error there out of the hand of Kayla Coughlin. Second service error for Geneva. Cuts the deficit in half for the Bruins, who now trail 5-4. We're early in the second set. Bob Jones won the opening set 25-17. Bruins trying to remain perfect against Division II schools, trying to get to the national championship for the first time in their volleyball history. Cut shot that drops in for Beaver. Kayla Coughlin did everything she could to make a play on it, but it was located well, and it had all kinds of power. Brooke Beaver, the most powerful hitter on this Bob Jones team, and only a freshman. Vicki Denny said last year, she said, Rick, we need some experience. We need some upperclassmen, which we will get. And she said, we're 1 or 2 big recruits away. Well, Brooke Beaver was one of those big recruits that they had to have, and they did. Now 6-5, Geneva by 1. And this is Renee Rechtenwald, the freshman from New Alexandria, Pennsylvania. 15 aces on the year, which is hard to believe because she had about 8 of them earlier today. So how did she only end up with 15 of them in the regular season is a mystery to me, and that cut shot into the front left position, was placed perfect, and it's now 7-5. Aaron Atta pulled away late in that match because they were able to get this young lady off the service line relatively quick. Down the line, Williams, punched over by Beaver, handled back row by Coughlin, a little quick set, and not on the same page there was Daphne Hunsinger and Millie Doffelmeyer. First time we've called Doffelmeyer's name, one of their starting middle hitters from Seattle, Washington, somebody that when they reached out to Wendy Smith, she said, how am I going to get somebody to come to Geneva who doesn't have a major that is specific to our school, just kind of has a traditional major all the way out in Seattle. Why would they want to come to Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania? Well, Doffelmeyer came and visited, loved the small town feel, the encouraging atmosphere, the good volleyball program, and has called Geneva home. Match tied at 7 here in set number 2. It's interesting to me. I've only been doing this volleyball-wise about 7 years. How it is, the recruiting landscape has changed. Used to be, boy, a team from Kentucky would have 12 of their 14 players from Kentucky. Boy, recruiting websites and young people willing to relocate. There are a lot of girls from a lot of different places on these teams. Most of the schools, you look at Bob Jones, for example, here in Greenville, South Carolina, you've got one player on the entire team from the state of South Carolina, 3 from Florida, 1 from Wisconsin, 1 from Pennsylvania, 1 from Iowa, 1 from Montana, Indiana, Illinois, Ohio. It's become a national program. Helps when you've got somebody who's been doing it for 35 years that has built a lot of relationships along the way, and pretty much the same story on the other side. Wendy Smith, not as long as Vicki Denny, but 19th season, 58 years old. And you look at this team from Geneva, 6 from Pennsylvania, 4 from Ohio, Maryland, Indiana, Florida, Washington, and New York. Pushed over the net, and it'll go down as a kill. Alyssa Kerr, right side player, doing it from that front left position there. 9-8, Costal back in front row as Coughlin will sit down for Geneva. Geneva College, the Golden Tornadoes. If nothing else, they've got the best nickname in this championship. The Golden Tornadoes, I like it. Touched by Walker. Going to be a free ball here by the Bob Jones libero. Back set by Hunsinger, trying to set up Kerr with a slide attack. Walker there to play it. Gaston tried to push it over the net. I think it went off of her shoulder, and it'll go down as a kill. Ties it at 9 apiece. The blue crew here likes it. Ready again is Brooke Beaver. On receive, it's McNulty. Down the line, Costal, and it'll go down as a kill. Selena Walker got her paws on it, but could not get it in the air. It's 10-9 Geneva.
Opple in for the Tornadoes.
McKenna Schick has had some trouble with service errors in these first 2 sets. Gets it across the net here. Opportunity for Geneva. Pushed over by Costal. Dug up here by Hunsinger. Schick going to play libero. Back row attack. McNulty, who strikes again. Boy, Schick had 3 assists in that opening set. And we're playing the assist man right there. Little Magic Johnson dishing out dimes. Time it was a back row attack by Sydney McNulty. 11-9 Geneva by 2. Schick with the flat-footed serve, received by Selena Walker. Down the line it was Bates. It was touched up front, but it drops in. And it's now 11-10. The serve here for Jordan Anderson. Anderson really the surprise of 2018 when you talk to Vicki Denny. Has exceeded expectations. And that one going to go out of play, and it's now 11 apiece. And it was a big deal that she exceeded expectations. They had a hole in the middle that they thought they were going to have to move Laura Gaston into from that right side. And Anderson emerging has allowed Gaston to play in the spot where she is best suited on that right side. And an attack to the back middle makes it 12-11 Geneva. National Championship coverage brought to you by Aramark, where we dream and we do. Rick Cooper, David Lurdy, Jeff Carr, Kent Delosier, Faith Hunter. Thank you. I'm mad at her anyway. She's eating chili in front of us, so I don't have to say her name right. They're all eating around us while we work profusely here to bring you this coverage, and that cross-court attack went out of play. Faith Hunter worked at 10 a.m. and noon with me today, and then said she went to her second job across campus, worked somewhere else, and back here tonight, dedicated to this university. 13-11 and now 14-11 Geneva. So a lead by 3 for the Golden Tornadoes, who want to tie this best of 5 at 1 apiece. Williams setting up Gaston, handled by Hunsinger. They're going to feed Hunsinger, who went to a right hand and dropped it in. It's now 15-11. Haven't seen the right hand of Hunsinger in this championship. And now Vicky Denny going to call a timeout to try to stop the bleeding here. Middle of this second set. It's number 3 Geneva 15, number 1 Bob Jones 11. 2018 National Championships here on the NCCAA Sports Network. It's a 4-0 run for Geneva. Tied at 11, now 15-11. I want to say thanks again to all of our championship sponsors. Talking about Servant HR, Spinks, Aramark, Bon Secours, Integra Bank, and Pepsi. Second semifinal tonight will pit the number 1 team out of Pool A against the number 2 team from Pool B. Number 2 Maranatha Baptist University, the SaberCats 23-12 will take on Neil Pittman and Emmaus out of Dubuque, Iowa, 25-6. They were 8-2 in North Region play. Both of those teams from the North Region. It's a 4th meeting of the year. Get another look at Hannah Postma, the setter from Emmaus, the National Player of the Year, senior setter. Get a look at Carly and Kelsey Johnson, twin sisters, in that 6-2 offense for Regina Delosier and Maranatha. Scheduled start time with that one is 7:30. We'll talk to you about 10 minutes early to count you down to first serve. 15-11, Rachel Williams to Catherine Ring. Ring tried to finish it and then mistimed her jump on another opportunity. Good dig there by Schick in that back row. Back row attack McNulty, and she was met by Laura Gaston. It's a solo block. And it's now 15-12. Laura Muckenschnabel going to serve it here for the Bruins. And it's a service error that makes it now 16-12. Geneva College, as we said, quite a story. Did not play any of the Mideast region teams that they were put into a region with. Going to try to play some of those teams next year. I heard their head coach Wendy Smith talking to Johnson University about getting some of their matches on their schedule, but I also talked to Wendy Smith about it. One of the things the NCCAA is big on is giving everybody an opportunity to compete for a region championship, and the PAC tournament that Geneva is in conflicts with the dates for the Mideast region tournament. And as we talked to some of the folks with the NCCAA, there was almost this expectation that they would move those dates, if at all possible, that they would do everything they could to get Geneva an opportunity to compete in that Mideast region. So we'll see how that all plays out. But regardless of what happens in this championship, they have represented their program really, really well. Got to imagine there were some nerves, some girls that have not played in a national championship, and now you walk into a venue as a head coach and as players, or kind of it's kind of a close-knit group. Everybody knows everybody, and you're the team that everybody's talking about that they don't know. Hunsinger went to a left hand. Nice effort there by Bob Jones. Will it get over the net? It will not. So good effort, though, by the Bruins as Rachel Williams ended up near the front row of this arena. trying to keep that one alive. It's now 19-13, and so Geneva trying to put the finishing touches on a second set win, and that one a little bit wide right from Rechtenwald. It's the fourth service error for Geneva in this second set. Geneva College, we said, 35 miles from Pittsburgh. Play their home football games at the same stadium where Joe Namath played high school football. It's a little nugget for you. We've got a couple of more of those coming throughout the broadcast. And called an error there on Selena Walker. Rotation error, and it's now 20-14. Ready is Hunsinger. Received back row by Muckenschnabel. Left side, cut shot by Beaver. Handled nicely by Geneva. Up front, McNulty, one of three seniors on this Golden Tornado squad. And a cross-court attack there. They stop Beaver once. They won't stop her twice. You could argue that's your national tournament MVP if Bob Jones wins this national title. I know how some of these coaches vote. They will vote the upperclassmen. They will vote the award winners that have won it for many years, but she has been as good as anybody in this championship. And it's now 21-15. McNulty now with 6 kills for Geneva, and a timeout Vicky Denny here late in set number 2. Bob Jones won the opening set 25-17. Geneva 21-15 here in set number 2, trying to ensure that we play at least 4 sets. Again, it'll be Maranatha and Emmaus to follow, 4th meeting of the year. Both teams won on the opposing team's home floor, and then they met in the North Region final as well, and it was all Maranatha in that one as they won in straight sets. And we tell it like we see it. We've got no agenda here. And I will tell you that Emmaus did not look good earlier today. They were beaten convincingly by this Bob Jones team, and it's a program that was number 1 in the country late in the year. Last peek I took in the regular season at the NCCA national rankings, they had Emmaus as the number 1 team in the country. Dropped down to number 4 after that straight set loss to Maranatha in the North Regional final, but did not look good today, and maybe going to have to play real well tonight against a team that comes in with 3 straight national titles. Ready here is McNulty coming out of the timeout for Geneva. Williams, left side, Beaver took something off of it. McNulty the dig. On that left side, it's Costal who tried to go through a block attempt and put it through anyway. 5 attacks now for Costal, who is a lot more aggressive than what we saw earlier. They are feeding her an awful lot. 22-15. Ready here is McNulty. Selena Walker back row into the middle, and it was Anderson who was met at the net. I know Doffelmeyer gets credit for an assisted block there. I don't know if there was anybody else that helped her. Kent Delosier says there was. Williams, a little center dump. Scooped up there by McNulty. Sliding was Kerr, and out of play with that attack attempt. And it's now 23-16, so the lead is 7. Brooke Beaver, 76 aces on the year, which is best on this Bob Jones team, and number 6 in America. And it's going to be another point for the Bruins, who are now within 6. It's 23-17. 3.2 kills, a team high for Beaver, 24% attack percentage, 4.4 digs, and as we said, 76 aces on the year, and that overpass, Costal able to finish. And it's now 24-17-0. Gonna say she what? Went over the net, and now a timeout gonna be called here. It's 23-18. They changed the score and everything on the scoreboard, but
we dream, we do.
Violation on Geneva now makes it 23-18. Setter jumped above the net there, so it's a violation on the Setter Daphne Hunsinger. Give you another tidbit during the stoppage here on Geneva College. So yeah, football games played at Geneva's Reeves Field. It's a stadium that seats 7,500, where Joe Namath, the Hall of Fame quarterback, played his high school games. Learned something about Joe Namath the other day, too. I heard it on Monday Night Football. I believe Joe Namath is the only quarterback in the Pro Football Hall of Fame that has a losing record as a starting quarterback. Thought that was kind of interesting. But here's another one for you. Cal Hubbard, 1927 Geneva grad, is the only athlete to ever be inducted in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the Pro Baseball Hall of Fame, and the College Football Hall of Fame. How about that? Left side, it's Costal, dug up back row by Selena Walker. Left side, it's Bates, handled by Schick for Geneva. Slide attack by Kirk, good effort by Walker to keep it alive. Backpedaling a bit, Gaston able to get it over the net. Costal, cross-court attack, another dig for Walker. Received here by Hunsinger. Left side, Costal, a little dink, and this one drops in. So it's now 24-18. And Geneva now just a point away from tying this best of 5 at 1 apiece. Jamie Grimes, a sophomore from Great Falls, Montana, going to check in and make, from what we have seen, her first national tournament appearance in this championship. And that will do it. It's a block up front, and it was an assisted block. Hoppel and Costal. And that'll do it. Geneva wins set number 2. We're playing at least 4 in our first national semifinal. Number 1, Bob Jones. Number 3, Geneva. We'll have set number 3 for you after this timeout here on the NCCAA Sports Network.
The NCCAA mission states, "We are committed to equipping student athletes and coaches to make a positive impact for Christ." Equipping student athletes and coaches involves the creation and distribution of tools and resources needed for a particular purpose. We promote outreach and ministry for the enhancement of athletic competition with a Christian perspective. One tool is Game Plan for Life, a character initiative to promote the biblical characteristics of love, integrity, faith, and excellence. Equipping student athletes with a game plan will remain with them throughout their entire lives.
So Bob Jones University, the 1 seed, 25-17 in set number 1. Geneva comes right back and wins by 7, 25-18 in set number 2. An all-important third set coming up next here on the NCCAA Sports Network. But Geneva, 25% hitting percentage in set number 2, and maybe more important than that, they held Bob Jones to only a 3% hitting percentage. Bruins had 7 attacks, they had 6 errors, and they did it on 36 attempts. So not a good second set in terms of hitting for Bob Jones, leading attackers through 2 sets. Daphne Hunsinger, 6 for Geneva. Casey Costal has 9. She's hitting at a 47% clip. Brooke Beaver, the freshman from Bob Jones, 11 kills through 2 sets. Only has 2 errors, 11 of 17, 53% hitting percentage. Rachel Williams has dished out 16 assists. Hunsinger has dished out 15. In terms of aces, both teams with 2 aces. The battle of the digs, 34-30, Geneva, the advantage there. So just about set to get things underway as we switch sides and Geneva on the left side of your screen. Bob Jones, the 1 seed in their blue uniforms. And the serve will come out of the hand of the first-team All-American, Rachel Tubbs-Williams, who was also a finalist for the Game Plan for Life Character Award. Williams, an interesting story. We've touched on it if you've watched our coverage. Was getting married last offseason, I think December, and had told Vicki Denny she would not be back to play this her senior season. Husband got maybe a little bit of a better job, Vicki said. They realized that it's okay to still have a life when you're married, and decided to come back to Vicki Denny in the spring after spring volleyball had wrapped up and said, Coach, I'd really like to play. It was a week before the semester was over. Vicki Denny said, that's great, but we've got to talk to the team, and it's got to be a unanimous decision to allow you to come back to this program. And they took a vote, and it was unanimous that Rachel Tubbs-Williams would be allowed back. And one player Vicki Denny singled out, she said even Brittany Annan, the sophomore from Fort Myers, voted for it. And Annan at that time was the setter in that 5-1 offense. And Annan realized, if I vote for this, what it means for me is I'm going from the setter in the 5-1 to delivering water on the bench. And Brittany Annan voted for it anyway. As soon as Vicki Denny said that story, I said, Coach, I got to tell it, because it is what is missing in youth sports. The idea of putting team before self. Brittany Annan did it, and it's probably a big reason why this program is 34-5. When you have players like that learn to check ego and agenda at the door. Third set, 3-1, and make it 4-1. So Bob Jones wasting no time, getting out of the gate quickly here in this third set. Brooke Beaver, the freshman from Kissimmee, with an attack here there. And it's now 4-2. Vicki Denny, 35th year as a college head coach. He's won a national championship at 2 different colleges, would like to win a 3rd here at Bob Jones. Won 13 of them at Clearwater Christian before that school announced they were closing their doors in 2015, and won 1 at Maranatha Baptist Bible College at the time. Back in 1987 was the first of 9 for that program. 5-2 here early, and they're going to get a carry. They're going to lift on the middle hitter, Elena Hoppel, and she looked like a little kid caught in the candy with a hand in the cookie jar. Knew she had been busted. 6-2. Diane Penner right on top of it is your R1. 35 years as an official. David Martin, the R2, with 25 years. Back set here by Hunsinger, and she places it perfect. Williams trying to get a left hand on it, but could not do it, and it's now 6-3. Kerr will sit down as Rechtenwald, I beg your pardon, that is Grace Holdeman, the defensive specialist out of Bloomington, Indiana. Holdeman is ready. Received back row by Walker into the middle ring, who has been quiet in this semifinal match. And a cut shot that's going to translate to a kill for Geneva. Carly Dulgas getting some minutes at a pivotal point. Have not seen her in this championship, at least the matches we have called. The junior from Gibsonia, Pennsylvania, who averages less than a kill per set, a 3-year player. Finally seeing some playing time. The first hitter off the bench is what Wendy Smith described her as. So maybe somebody not hitting in a very good clip, and they give Dulgas an opportunity and quickly able to take advantage of it. Now 6-5, Bruins by 1. And the serve stays in the hands of Holdeman, the sophomore, as we said, from Bloomington, Indiana. Left side, it's Courtney Bates trying to take it right at Hunsinger with a friend. Ends up on the Geneva side. Dulgas punches it over the net. Swing coming up for Bates again, who took something off of it. Little center dump there by Hunsinger. Played well by Walker, and Ring dropped it in. Catherine Ring. Efficient. 7-5. Second team All-American, second team in the South region, and the daughter of the Director of Athletics here, Dr. Neil Ring, who is as good as they get. Right side swing by Hoppel, controlled by Bob Jones. Dulgas an opportunity, and one-on-one she went against the setter, the All-American Rachel Williams, who said 8-5. Ready is Muckenschnabel. McNulty set up in that back row, setting up Dulgas. Little setter dump, and it drops in, or no, did it? No. Gonna say emergency contact, kept that thing alive, and Bates had a swing, and it's gonna lead to a Geneva point. What'd you think? Thought it hit the ground. Kent Delosier, our on-site statistician, who has no dog in this fight either, said that should have been a kill. Official said there was a pancake there that kept it alive. 8-6. Bruins by 2. Ready is Kayla Coughlin. Sliding is Catherine Ring, and she strikes again. Catherine Ring, second team All-American, best jumper on this team. Really playing with a lot more maturity this year, according to Vicki Denny, and really somebody who more than anything else likes to be the defensive stopper on this team. Loves the challenge of shutting somebody down in the middle in particular. Beaver gonna send it to the middle with Ring again. McNulty, little off balance, fires anyway. Here comes Beaver, trying to take it at Hoppel and Hunsinger. Put back onto the Bob Jones side of the net. Opportunity here for McNulty, front left. And that block attempt this time by Williams goes out of bounds. And it's now 9-7. Schick will sit down, Hoppel will sit down. Holdeman checks in, so does Renee Rechtenwald. If you're just joining us, it's worth noting again, third set today, Geneva and Maranatha. Geneva won the second and third sets before the SaberCats pulled away in sets 4 and 5, but Rechtenwald and Geneva went on a 16-0 run in that third set against the SaberCats, and we don't have the most complete stat, but I think she was really back there the entire time. I mean, just one ace after another from Renee Rechtenwald. Walker tried to keep it alive, but it'll drop in here.
Point for Geneva.
Tied at 9. Well, with Rally scoring, that was a dumb statement. She had to be back there the whole time. They took control of the serve, and then it was Renee Rechtenwald for about 10 or 12 minutes straight. Just put on a serving clinic. You should have paid admission to watch it. 9-9, now 10-9 on the cut shot up front by Bob Jones. It was unbelievable. SaberCats were in big, big trouble before they took care of business in the fourth set. Pretty good volleyball to the middle. Swing there by Millie Doffelmeyer. Feeding to her left was Brooke Beaver. And there's Hunsinger, who winds up again.
Big foul from Hunsinger.
It's such an advantage when she's facing that way, and you look at her and you think she's a right-handed setter, and you have no idea that that left hand is coming with the power that it's going to come at. I guarded a guy in practice every day in college basketball that was a lefty. He was more athletic than I was taller than I was, but that left hand was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. To learn to guard a left-handed player. It was so different than everything I had ever been taught. And Daphne Hunsinger poses some of those same problems in volleyball. Into the middle, scooped up back row there by Bates, who went down hard to grab it. Schick feeding McNulty. Walker a dig, it's tight to the net. Williams tried to finish it, but could not. Bates a back row attack, scooped up there by Coughlin. Tight to the net again, sliding, and they're gonna get what? Into the net. Net violation on Geneva. Wendy Smith asking for an explanation. Seems satisfied with what she was told. 11-10 Bruins by 1. Kerr challenged at the net. Ball back onto the Geneva side and tight to the net. It's going to drop in for another Bruins point. It's Millie Doffelmeyer that tried to get to it. Just did not have enough room to do anything with it. 12-10 Bob Jones. Right side McNulty, a touch up front, beats a dig, punched over the net by Anderson. Sliding is Kerr. Digging is Williams. Swinging is Gaston, and it drops in again. 13-10 Bruins. And Wendy Smith having discussion again. I don't think she's a big David Morton fan. I don't think the Geneva coach and our R2 are going to be dining together anywhere tonight. And that one drops in again. It's 14-10, and Wendy Smith going to call a timeout. Bruins Nation to their feet. Most noise that we have heard in this entire championship as they sense the team from Geneva in a little bit of trouble here in set number 3.
Find out more by visiting thencccaa.org.
For over 50 years, the NCCAA promoting outreach and ministry through athletic competition with a Christian perspective. You can find out more by visiting thencccaa.org. If I get all my work done tonight, Kent Delosier, my good friend Ben Belliman from the NCCAA has promised to take me out for some filet mignon tacos at Tipsy Tacos tonight. Have you hit Tipsy Tacos yet? Let me tell you what. If you jump on a plane and don't hit Tipsy Tacos before you go, you'll need to repent. Absolutely outstanding. I tried some of the other ones. They've got about 30 different choices in there, and they're all delicious, but I'm going all filet mignon tonight. As long as the Visa card says Ben Belliman and not Rick Cooper. 14-10. Tipsy Tacos. And that was not a paid advertisement. We're going to try to trade with them next year. Just give us a spread on Championship Saturday. 14-10. That's what I do back in Ohio. I broadcast games, and after I generate all the revenue I need, I find my favorite restaurants and just negotiate trades. That's why my waistline looks like it does. 14-10. Back row attack by Bates. Schick, Hunsinger to the middle. And an attack up there handled by the Bruins. Here's a swing by Beaver. And a block attempt, I think, was going to go out of bounds. But Selena Walker put a left hand out and touched it. And it's now 14-11. Going to bring Carly Dulgas back in here up front. Is Wendy Smith trailing 14-11. We're in set number 3. Sprinting and then swinging. McNulty. Received by Hunsinger. Now a left side hit by Dulgas, kind of right down the line as Beaver handled it for the Bruins. Schick with a dig. Sliding again is Kerr. Bates tried to dig it up and did. Back row attack McNulty, handled by Selena Walker. Left side Beaver, met at the net. And it's a block. It's now 14-12. The Golden Tornadoes within 2. Sydney McNulty, as we said, third in all of NCAA Division III with 77 aces coming in. The serve here. Dulgas, another opportunity. It was touched up front, and it's now 14-13. The Golden Tornadoes within 1. Doesn't take a Rhodes Scholar to realize how important a third set is in a match at 1 apiece in a national semifinal. Geneva finding a way to claw their way right back into this one. Hunsinger off the mark with that set attempt. Tried to forearm pass it to Alyssa Kerr on that front right spot, and Pass was well off the mark. Bob Jones a 2-point advantage. McNulty, Hunsinger, curve, and she drops it in. Put it right in front of Gaston and Williams. Senior from Knox, Pennsylvania, McKenna Schick. Right side, it's Anderson. That's an overpass. We'll see if the Bruins can capitalize. And they can't. And an opportunity on the overpass, and then their first pass was tight to the net, and there was nothing the Bruins could do with it. Fans getting a little bit restless here. Tied at 15 apiece now. Received by Selena Walker. Left side, Bates. Did she drop it in? She did. Beautiful line shot. There was nobody in that back right corner. And it's the third attack of this third set for Courtney Bates. Bates took over at that outside hitter spot when Erin Jarvis went down with her ACL tear during match number 8. We touched on Jarvis. Only a junior. She's got 1 year left for sure as she comes back from that ACL. And in all likelihood will appeal to the NCCAA. Has not done that yet to try to regain this year's eligibility, though she played in 8 matches, which is more than by rule you're allowed. We touched on this earlier in the championship. The NCAA 3 is more lenient on that rule than the NCCAA, which I thought was interesting. The rule at the NCAA 3 level, one coach told me, is 30% of your matches you're allowed to play in and still get a medical red shirt. So you would expect the NCCAA maybe to extend a little bit of grace and give Jarvis 2 years if she wants it. Right side, Hopple. And it never got over the net. So it's 18-17, Bob Jones. Third season of intercollegiate volleyball here. For the longest time, Bruins Nation was known as just a world-class intramural program. Would have thousands of people out at their soccer stadium watching intramural soccer championships. And Dr. Stephen Pennant, the president here at the Citadel, or at Bob Jones, played soccer at the Citadel, big athletic guy, and decided they should restart athletics. And boy, have they ever restarted athletics, as they have made their presence known at the NCCAA 2 level. Men's basketball jumped in last year and nearly knocked off Randall University in this venue in the national championship. Tied at 18. It's been a back and forth affair. Bob Jones leading early in this third set. Tied it at 15 apiece to Geneva. Now tied at 18 and not going to get over the net. McNulty tried with some emergency contact, but it's now 19-18. Courtney Bates has an older sister, Amanda, that will play basketball at Bob Jones, battling an injury right now that has taken her out of school. She will eventually come back and play on this hardwood for the Bruins basketball team. Point to Geneva, now tied at 19 apiece, and I think Vicki Denny maybe just called a timeout, and she did. So both of these head coaches with one timeout left apiece here in this third set. Just joining us, Bob Jones, 25-17 in set number 1, and Geneva, the number 3 seed, 25-18 in set number 2. We play the best of 5. First 4 sets to 25. If we go to a 5th and deciding set, we would play that one to 15. Geneva College, 21-13. Played in the President's Athletics Conference up in Pennsylvania. Finished 10-8 in that league. I think lost in the semis of their conference tournament. Bob Jones, 34-5. They haven't lost a Division II match since that loss to Maranatha in the national semifinals a year ago. So perfect against Division II here in 2018. Geneva College, couple NCCAA national championships at the Division I level. Men's basketball in 2001, men's soccer in 1994. Their football program has won 5 NCCAA victory bowls as well. 98, 99, 2000, 2003, and 2009. They left the NCCAA in 2013 and returned just a short time ago. Tied at 19. Ready here is Rechtenwald. Received by Selena Walker and pushed over the net by Beaver. Down the line, it's McNulty, a cut shot, and it drops in. So it's now 20-19. Geneva with their first lead in quite some time. McNulty's got 5 kills in this third set, and she's got like 15 of them for this match. Bob Jones comes right back and ties it at 20 apiece. Catherine Ring will sit down. It's like Beaver, Williams, and Anderson up front for Dr. Vicky Denny. Received by Coughlin. Pushed over by McNulty. Williams a big swing. Schick with a dig. Sliding over and attacking was Doffelmeyer. Controlled by Bob Jones. Little centered up. Handled there by Beaver. Little give and go as they go right back to Beaver. Tight to the net. Hunsinger made something out of nothing and keeps it alive. Beaver in attack. Stuffed onto the Bob Jones side. Beaver again. Scooped up by the back row. Pushed over by McNulty. Rally continues. Emergency contact. And over. Tied at 20. Beaver goes through a double block attempt. Hunsinger looks a little bit shaken up. It was Hunsinger and Doffelmeyer that tried to stuff Beaver but could not do it. Wendy Smith, the timeout. Boy, outstanding effort on both sides there. 21-20. Bob Jones by 1. Geneva College rejoined the NCCAA in 2018-19. We said 15 of their 16 intercollegiate sports playing in the Midwest region of the NCCAA Division I women's volleyball, the only sport playing at the NCCAA 2 level in the Mideast region. They made the move from the NAIA to NCAA Division III in 2011 when they joined the President's Athletic Conference that we talked about at that time as well. Women's volleyball coach Wendy Smith has won better than 80% of her matches in that President's Athletics Conference. More than 50 majors, including sports management, aviation, biology, chemistry, elementary ed, criminal justice, engineering, and computer science. Enrollment of about 1,500. It'll cost you $37,000 to attend. 21-20. Bob Jones by 1. Left side McNulty, and she dropped it in. It's very casual about it. Looked like a Sunday afternoon stroll as she worked her way to the middle of the floor. Went off of 1 foot, raised up, and dropped it in. 21 apiece. Hunsinger very effective with the serve as well. Anderson with a swing. Schick with the dig. They show middle, and then they feed McNulty. It was Doffelmeyer in the middle that they showed, and instead they went to the perimeter, and it's now 22-21, and Vicky Denny is going to call a timeout. So both of these coaches now out of timeouts in this third set. Winner of this match will take on the winner of number 2, Maranatha, number 4, Emmaus. 2 teams out of the North region, Maranatha, Watertown, Wisconsin, Emmaus out of Dubuque, Iowa. Was reading Neil Pittman's story. Kent Delosier was a guy that gave up volleyball coaching to be a dad. several years ago. Had a couple young boys, decided I'm going to take a break. The volleyball coach ended up leaving, called Neil Pittman and said, do you want it? And he said, no, thank you. He tried to find somebody else. Nobody else would take it. Came back to Neil Pittman again. Would you take it? Said, would you at least talk to your wife, Beth, and would you pray about it? They said, okay, we'll pray about it. Decided they felt the Lord leading them to take that volleyball program over, and now a #1 ranking earlier in the year, National Player of the Year, National Coach of the Year, trying to make some noise in the Final Four. They'll have to go through Maranatha to do it. Selena Walker with a dig for Bob Jones. 22-21 Geneva. Late in this third set, and Kerr never got there. Attack error there, ties it at 22 apiece. Fans again beginning to make some noise behind us, around us, understanding the significance of this third set. Trying to will their team to victory. Right side, an attack by McNulty. Walker got it in the air, and Williams puts it over on a third ball. Hunsinger, a dig by Bates. Beaver, a dig by Schick. Left side, McNulty with a cut shot, and she put it in. Sydney McNulty, the senior from State College. 8 kills in this third set. 23-22 Geneva by 1. First-year starter Sydney McNulty playing all the way around here in 2018, and too strong out of the hand of Jordan Anderson. It's now 24-22. And McNulty, the senior, who wants to play on Saturday with a chance to win the third set here. Left side, Beaver, and it's in. She dropped it in by inches. In that back left corner, it's 24-23. Brooke Beaver ready here. Float serve. Picked off by McNulty. Flat-footed attack by Kerr. Bruins going to have a chance to tie it right here, and they do. They change tempo. They feed Anderson in the middle. The junior, 2.3 attacks per set and a 27% attack percentage. We're playing to 26. Back set, Kerr, and it's a block up front. Jordan Anderson, a kill and a solo block. And the Bruins with their first opportunity in the third set to finish it here. Received by McNulty. Hunsinger, Dulgas, dug up back row. Bates to win it, and she did. You didn't get this atmosphere of the Kissimmee Civic Center, my friends. There's no place like home, and Bob Jones takes care of business in the third set. It was Bates with the attack that won it. It was Jordan Anderson with the kill on the block that saved it. Bob Jones up 2-1, and they'll try to finish it off in the fourth set after we take this timeout. It's the 2018 National Championships here on the NCCAA Sports Network.
The NCCA mission states, we are an association of Christ-centered collegiate institutions whose mission is to use athletic competition as an integral component of education, evangelism, and encouragement. The impact of the NCCAA has been felt for 50 years throughout the country and around the world. Encouraging mission trips is at the heart of this impact. We know short-term missions impacts everyone involved and changes the trajectory of lives. Sometimes it can affect the missionary as much or more than those being served. Our Sports Ministry Fund has supported more than 5,000 individuals via domestic and international missions. We exist not only to crown national champions, but to share the love of Christ wherever it is needed.
Well, defense typically steps up at pivotal points, and that's exactly what happened in that third set. Neither team hit it well. Geneva 12% as a team. Bob Jones 12% as a team. Sydney McNulty had 15 kills. She hit it well, 28% attack percentage for Geneva. Brooke Beaver from Bob Jones, 27%. She had 14 kills, but again, the one that wins it comes out of the hand of Courtney Bates, who finished with 5 kills, and Jordan Anderson had 4 kills. And boy, looking at what they've got her for 6 blocks. Got 1 solo block and 5 assisted blocks. Talking about Jordan Anderson, and it was that solo block that really kept Geneva from winning that third set. So assist-wise, Hunsinger had 26 dimes, Rachel Williams had 25. In terms of digs, 69-60, Geneva with the advantage there. It was McKenna Schick who had 17, 29 digs for Selena Walker for Bob Jones. So the Bruins 2-1 advantage. What does Geneva have left in the tank? Can they take this to a 5th and deciding set? It's one of the things Vicki Denny talked about with us in our coach's interview with her. She said, Rick, last year we had 10 5-set matches. We went 5-5. Felt like we came into the national championship truly battle-tested and ready. Said this year I tried to schedule harder competition, thought it would translate into more 5-set opportunities, and it didn't. They really mowed their way through most of the D3 competition that they faced and only ended up having 4 5-set matches. They went 2-2, and really sincerely, she was concerned that they didn't have enough tough matches to really prepare them for what they were going to run into at this championship. So you'd love it if you're Geneva to take this to a 5th set and see how this Bob Jones squad will respond. That's one other thing that Vicki Denny said to us over and over, and again, not an excuse by any stretch. Just said, Rick, folks seem to forget this is a 3rd-year volleyball program. I still only have 1 senior on my roster. I still only have 3 juniors on my roster, and I have 7 freshmen and sophomores. So it would be very interesting, to say the least, if Geneva could take this to a 5th set. Back set here by Bates, and it never got there. So an attack error makes it 2-2. Substitution back in is Elena Hoppel, the freshman from Casterland, New York, who has really elevated her game the last month of the year. Blocks in particular way up from Elena Hoppel.
Anderson back to serve, Catherine Ring to the front.
So 3-2 here early. Bob Jones, the 1 seed by 1. Hunsinger to Hoppel in the middle. Controlled by the Bruins. Swung on by Bates. Offside Dulgas, who continues to get quite a bit of PT from head coach Wendy Smith. Pushed over by Hunsinger. Left side Bates, another swing. Deflected back onto the Bruins side of the net. They show Ring in the middle, feed Gaston instead. Geneva doesn't take the bait. Right side, Gaston down the line. Dug up by McNulty, but it was an overpass. And Bob Jones takes advantage. It's 4-2 Bruins here early in the 4th. Jordan Anderson with the serve. McNulty, all kinds of trouble on serve receive. Schick able to get it over the net. Ring right side, a little dink, and it dropped in. McNulty was charging to try to play it. Dulgas didn't know it, so tried to play it herself and couldn't do anything with it. 5-2, Bruins by 3. McNulty again with a little bit of difficulty. Up front, it's Hoppel, had trouble, and it drops in again. Now 6-2. Wendy Smith says we need to talk about it right now. Timeout on the floor. Fourth set, Bob Jones leading 2-1, and they lead here in this fourth set by the score of 6-2. Winner of this match will play tomorrow at 1 o'clock. They moved up the national championship, was a 4:30 start last year, hoping that more of the teams would stick around. And Kent Delosier, I'm going to break it to the folks here at the National Law, whoever, teams aren't sticking around. Whatever time slot you move that championship, it doesn't matter. Once their season is done, they are getting in a van unless they are stuck because of an airplane. The team that always seemed to get stuck in Kissimmee, I would always stay a day or two after at the Radisson in Kissimmee, and it was always Providence. They would fly out like on Monday. They would still have a team breakfast going on in the team room, even though there was only one team left, and it was Providence University College. But even the teams that are flying out, Maranatha flying out tomorrow night, not even wait until Sunday. And there's another team that flew in, Arlington, and they're flying out late on Saturday night as well. So most of these teams are heading home right now. 6-2, but I like it. I'm heading down to the house of Mickey Mouse for a couple days. So getting out of here at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock instead of 6 or 7 on a 500-mile trip. Okay with me. That one a little bit too strong, and it's now 6-3.
Sign out for Geneva.
Substitution for Geneva as Kerr will sit down, and the back row specialist, serve specialist Holdeman will check back in. Ready is Holdeman with a jump serve, retrieved back row by Bates into the middle ring. Controlled by Hunsinger. They're going to feed Hunsinger, who punched it with a right hand. Right side, it's Gaston. Hunsinger again, who tried to take it to the middle, and Catherine Ring said, Ring, who doesn't show a ton of emotion, was fired up on that block. Was waiting for the Dikembe Mutombo finger point. She was so fired up with the stuff on Daphne Hunsinger. 7-3, Bruins by 4. Hunsinger to Hoppel, who was well off the mark on that one. Probably about 10 feet too strong. One ended up by the Bruins sign on the baseline. 8-3, Bob Jones. Wendy Smith with one timeout left in this fourth set. Left side, Dulgas. Back row attack here by Beaver. Another swing by Hunsinger, the setter. Bates and tried to finesse it. And it's a point for Geneva. Golden Tornadoes within 4. They trail 8-4. Substitutions for both teams as Bates will sit down for Bob Jones. Dulgas will sit down for Geneva. Back in is Kayla Coughlin. Coughlin, the freshman. Back row specialist for the Golden Tornadoes, and there's a block up front there. So they return the favor to Catherine Ring, an assisted block up there. Hoppel, one of the two involved. I think McNulty was the other. And it's now 8-5. Kayla Coughlin, only 5'2". No aces on the year, has appeared in 113 of Geneva's 117 sets coming in. And an ace there for Coughlin, and it's now 8-6. Touched on this earlier today when we saw Geneva. Coughlin family from Brunswick, Ohio. Same town that my mom just had a house in. Just moved to the next town over in the last couple years to Medina, Ohio. I know Brunswick well. Bedrock Court, the home of my mom. 8-6. Into the middle, Catherine Ring. Down the line, it's Bates. Scooped up back row by Coughlin. Going to give McNulty a swing, and it'll drop in. It was deflected up front and kind of went down the net and dropped in that front left position, and it's now 8-7. So Geneva on a little mini run here. 5-0 run. Has cut it to within 1. Into the middle ring, a big swing and a touch up front by Hoppel. And it goes out of bounds near the Geneva bench, and it's now 9-7. 3 kills in this 4th set. Ready again is Bates, and that one is too strong. So a service error slices the Geneva deficit in half. It's now 9-8. Substitution is Rechtenwald back in. Hoppel will sit down. Can only imagine what the atmosphere is going to be like as Bob Jones closes in on 25. I think if you're Geneva, not like they don't want to do this, but it would be advantageous to take the lead and try to take the crowd out of this game. The longer Bob Jones has the lead in this 4th set, I think the harder it's going to be to overcome the crowd. And the 7th man, Rachel Williams, punched over by Beaver, who strikes again. She has been so good in this championship. 10-9, Bob Jones. Serve here to Selena Walker. Defensive glue of this team, according to Vicki Denny. Hunsinger to the middle, and McNulty. Walker trying to scoop it in the air, but could not do it. Boy, Vicki Denny really upset on that Bob Jones bench. That's tied at 10 apiece. And that one is too strong out of the hand of Courtney Bates, and it's now 11-10. So Geneva again. Kent still in the midst of a pretty big run here to get right back in this set. Tight to the net, Williams, and boy, did she do something with it. Had to improvise there. There was no way she was setting anybody else up. Tight to the net, got a right hand on it, and somehow, some way, dropped it in a front right position. Tied at 11 apiece. Williams to the back row, and Coughlin. Back set here to McNulty, who tried a line shot and missed it by about a foot. 12-11, Bob Jones. This is first-team All-American Rachel Williams, led the nation in assists from that setter spot at 9 assists per set. In Bob Jones' 5-1 offense, there's a dig by Coughlin. Gonna go through a block was McNulty. I think Anderson may have been a little bit late getting there, trying to plug that hole, and like McNulty kind of went right between the two of them and tied it at 12 apiece. We're in the 4th set. Bob Jones winners in set 1 and set 3. Geneva 25-18 in set 2, trying to win this one and force a 5th set with a ticket to the national championship on the line tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Gaston in the middle to make that Anderson. Geneva a touch, but nothing else. 13-12 Bruins. Coming back in is Casey Costel, and sitting down is Alyssa Kerr, and it was a substitution that Geneva doing a little bit different here. One of the other players thought she was coming out. Assistant coach had to race up to that sideline to make sure the right player left, and I think Kent Delozier, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Dulgis is getting minutes in this championship because Casey Costel, who has been good in spurts, has not been in there very much for Geneva. Back into the game now. Just trying to think about whose minutes she has assumed in this national semifinal. Into the middle, Anderson! There was no resistance at the net, and if you let her at 5'10", wind and fire, you are dead meat. 15-12. Hunsinger to the middle, and Costel, a dig in the back row. Flat-footed, it's Bates, scooped up by Schick, the libero. Dulgis with another opportunity there, and it's deflected out of bounds, and it's now 16-12. And Wendy Smith wants to talk about it. Timeout on the floor, 4 set. Bruins 16, Golden Tornadoes a dozen. It's national semifinal number 1 here at the 2018 NCCA Division II National Volleyball Championships on the campus of Bob Jones University here on the NCCAA Sports Network. Dulgas still in there right now. I'm just trying to figure out, we saw Geneva earlier in that 5-set loss to Maranatha. Just trying to think about Kent Delosier, who Dulgas is kind of taking minutes from, and in my mind, I may be way off, and you can tell me that. Not over the air, but you can just look at me like I'm crazy. I think it's Costal that has not played as much as we saw earlier today. 16-12, Bruins by 4, 9 points away from a 4th set win and a ticket to the national championship. National tournament action brought to you by Aramark as our title sponsor. We dream, and we do. I want to say thanks to all of our tournament sponsors, including Servant HR, Spinks, Aramark, Bon Secours, Integra Bank, and Pepsi. And quickly out of the timeout, 17-12. Costal asks for a towel to wipe things up a little bit. Kind of a little New York Giants strategy there, kind of to slow things down, the momentum a little bit. Jason Kidd strategy. Spill a cup of water on the bench, get a little extra time drawing up the play. 17-12, Costal to the middle. Scooped up by Williams. Tight to the net, good effort there by Bob Jones and Courtney Bates. Dug up back row, Beaver. Free ball over the net by Courtney Bates here. Hunsinger to the middle, swung on by Costal. Controlled by Bob Jones, Bates up front. And Anderson did not get good contact on that one. 17-13. Substitution in as Rechtenwald will sit down. Elena Hoppel back in that front row. McNulty, they're probably their best attacker in this championship. Worth noting in that back row. Fading a little bit was Dulgas. Still got pretty good contact on that cut shot. Schick gonna play setter here, and what? They're gonna call a lift, a double hit on the Geneva libero. It's 18-13. Bruins 7 points away from a shot at a national championship. Ready is Anderson. Hunsinger to the middle, and Hoppel met at the net by Ring and Gaston. Another swing up there by Dulgas, controlled by Bob Jones. Gaston, a nice dig by Schick. Right side, Costal. Anderson gonna play setter here. Gaston looked like she was in the net, nothing called. And that ball gonna drop. Maybe that was justice there. Sure looked like Gaston after the swing. Like her momentum took her into that net, and it's now 18-14. Ready here is Holdeman. Back set to Ring. Dug up by Holdeman. Hunsinger keeps it alive. Dulgas puts it over on a third ball. Right side, Gaston into the net, and it's 18-15. Geneva, do they have one more fight left in them? They trail by 3 in this 4th set. They trailed 2-1 in the match. Holdeman hits the tape on the serve. Ring to the middle. Handled by Holdeman. Hunsinger looking for Dulgas on that left side. Now goes to Gaston, who mishit it again, and it's now 18-16, and Vicky Denny up quickly. Shouting instructions to Selena Walker in that back row as the Bob Jones libero. Ready is Holdeman. Serve, receive, it's Bates. Out of system here, going to be punched over by Walker. Hunsinger has to hurry, dives to the ground, but her attempt on a second pass went over the head of Dulgas and ended up near row 1 of this arena. 19-16, Gaston will sit down as Muckenschnabel will serve and play back row. Muck ready. Hunsinger, left side, Dulgas, and she dropped it in. Took a good angle instead of trying to go through Ring, and Williams kind of took it right down the net, 19-17. Deficit is 2 for the team from Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. Williams, back set to Ring, met at the net. Williams with a swing. And Geneva keeps it alive. Free ball, Ring, can she take advantage? No! As Hoppel, we talked about how her blocking really has emerged late in the season. She went mano-a-mano with Catherine Ring right there. Boy, that is season-saving, 19-18. Left side, it's Bates, handled by Holdeman. Left side, McNulty had all kinds of trouble as it was tight to the net, and it leads to a Bruins point. The Geneva front line did everything they could, but it was a poor second pass that put them in a very precarious spot, 20-18. Bruins 5 points away from a 3-1 win here in semifinal number 1. Schick, Hunsinger, sliding is Dulgas. Nice dig there on a pancake by Muckenschnabel, and that was Elena Hoppel again with a solo block up front. Hoppel will sit down. Here we go. Rechtenwald, who went on a 16-0 run earlier. Your Wendy Smith, even a point or two would be great here. Good reception there by Muckenschnabel, and Ring gets her off the service line immediately. 21-19. 4 kills for Catherine Ring. That one may have just punched their ticket. Rechtenwald can wreak a lot of havoc back there. Selena Walker. It's an overpass, and Jordan Anderson just introduced Kayla Coughlin to her friend Tachikara. 22-19. That had to hurt. Ready here, Selena Walker. 3 points away. Hunsinger with an attack of her own, tight to the net, and Bates keeps it alive for the Bruins. Beaver, her attack, Hunsinger, a dig by Muckenschnabel. Into the middle, a solo block again. This time it was Doffelmeyer. Hoppel a solo blocks a minute ago, and again, we don't use that term lightly, season saving by Millie Doffelmeyer. 22-20. Not a very good opportunity there. Chance for Geneva here. And tight to the net, kept alive by the All-American Rachel Williams. Left side, McNulty, dug up by Muckenschnabel. Left side, Beaver after a deflection up front, scooped up by McNulty. Good effort there, are you kidding me? Well, the set was off the mark, and Casey Costal working her way near that right antenna, able to get to it and do something with it. And Vicki Denny wanted a timeout. The R2 had no idea, and Coach Denny nearly jumped in front of that R2, kind of jumped in place and pretty fired up, demanding that timeout. Bob Jones still with one timeout left. Wendy Smith is out of timeouts for Geneva. 22-21 Bruins. Well, I can't say enough, Coach Mr. Delosier. That attack by Casey Costal from near that front right position around the antenna. The pass was well off the mark. Somehow, some way was able to get to it. And a cut shot that drops in that could possibly save the day. 22-21. Only has 2 kills in this fourth set 11 for the match. Ginormous. 22-21, two teams that have not been in this position before. They've got to stress that again. Maybe the closest that Geneva has been in a President's Athletics Conference semifinal or final. Bob Jones University got to this spot a year ago and came up a little bit short. But neither of these teams with a rich history yet in national championships. Hunsinger with the serve, setting up Beaver, and she's too strong. Bruins thought it was in, and it's now 22-22. Did not miss by much, if she missed at all. Ready again is Hunsinger, deadly with that serve, and she dropped it in! Daphne Hunsinger with her third ace, and Vicki Denny has called her second and final timeout. Geneva with their third ace in this fourth set. And none of them more important than that one. Daphne Hunsinger, 56 aces on the year. Second best on the team, and Geneva, in the midst of a 4-0 run, has taken a 23-22 advantage. Boy, what a turn of events. The Coastal attack up front. The Hunsinger ace. Brooke Beaver, who has been so good, missed by inches down that sideline in front of the Geneva bench, and all of a sudden it's 23-22 Golden Tornadoes. 2 points away from forcing a fifth and deciding set. Both coaches, as we said, out of timeouts, and boy, outside of Rechtenwald, Daphne Hunsinger has been the best server in this championship for Geneva. Nobody you want back there better than her. Receive back room, Muckenschnabel. Right side Anderson, a touch up front as it hung on the tape, and I think they're going to get somebody in the net. Geneva doesn't like it. In particular, Doffelmeyer upset at the call. Net violation makes it 23-23. Serve here by Williams. Hunsinger, big attack here by Coastal, and she put it in! Casey Coastal only has 3 kills in this fourth set, but 2 of them have come late, and it's 24-23. Geneva, a chance to send this to a fifth set here. McNulty, tight to the net, Williams to keep it alive. Anderson, touched up front, received by McNulty. Dulgas to send him to a fifth set, no. Dug up back row by Schick. Hunsinger, a back set, and it drops in. Casey Coastal does it again. So Geneva 25-23 in set number 4. We will play a fifth set to 15. The winner plays for the national championship tomorrow at 1. We'll have it for you after this time out here on the NCCAA Sports Network.
The NCCA mission states, we are an association of Christ-centered collegiate institutions whose mission is to use athletic competition as an integral component of education, evangelism, and encouragement. The impact of the NCCAA has been felt for 50 years throughout the country and around the world. Encouraging mission trips is at the heart of this impact. We know short-term missions impacts everyone involved and changes the trajectory of lives. Sometimes it can affect the missionary as much or more than those being served. Our Sports Ministry Fund has supported more than 5,000 individuals via domestic and international missions. We exist not only to crown national champions, but to share the love of Christ wherever it is needed.
Am I allowed to say that on the air? My on-site statistician just said to me, Rick, I don't have much to give you because there hasn't been any offense. I'd say shame on you, Kent Delosier, our statistician, but the stats back it up. Hitting percentages, the team in that 4-set, Geneva, 2%. They had 9 kills, 8 errors, and 47 attempts. And Bob Jones even a little bit worse, 0%. 12 kills, 12 errors, and 53 attempts. That's the kind of battle we're in. This is like an NFC East matchup. The Giants and the Cowboys. It ain't pretty, but somebody's advancing to the national championship. Bob Jones' 3rd year of intercollegiate athletics, looking for their 35th win of the year. Finished in a tie for 3rd a season ago. And every year they continue to take steps forward in this program. Lost last year to number 3 Maranatha in the national semifinals. Worth noting again, that's their last Division II loss. They have won off 15 in a row against Division II schools here in 2018. Lexi Butel had 15 kills for Maranatha in that national semifinal win a season ago. So a lot of storylines, obviously. Vicki Denny got her first national championship at Maranatha back in 1987. Will it be Regina Delosier and Maranatha against Vicki Denny and Bob Jones? Will it be Geneva in their first weekend of ever playing an NCCA Division II school? Will it be Emmaus and Neil Pittman, the National Coach of the Year, who came back to take over that Emmaus program after a hiatus where he focused on being a dad to a couple young boys. Asked him to pray about the opportunity to come back, and he did, and a National Coach of the Year award later has a team in the Final Four. So many storylines and so many questions. Been playing now since what, 6 o'clock? 5:30, we're at 7:30 right now, and we're no closer to deciding who's going to play for the national championship. We could have just done this. We could have got the coaches together and said we're just going to play 1 to 15. Will you do it? Forget about sets 1 to 4. Let's just play to 15, and whoever wins plays tomorrow at 1. And that's where we're at right now. Geneva, the 3 seed on the left side of your screen. Still in those gray uniforms. Bob Jones, the 1 seed. The blue uniforms to your right. This place was electric for the men's national championship in the month of March. See how much of a factor this fan base can be trying to will the Bruins to the national championship match. Underway here in set 5. Pushed over by Beaver, and she dropped it in, back left corner.
Side out for the Bruins, Beaver back to serve.
And that looked like something that Vicki Denny may have drawn up in the timeout. Brooke Beaver knew exactly where she was going with that dump. Left side, Dulgas. Tight to the net. Good job by Williams, or did she? I think they're going to say she was in the net. Outstanding effort there by the All-American setter Williams to try to keep it alive.
Coughlin in the serve.
Do want to clarify, too, in set number 4, it was a face full of Baden volleyball, not Tachikara, on that play. Found out that's now the official volleyball of the NCCAA. I have been fined by the national office. 1-1. Dan Wood listening to our broadcast as he makes the trek over to the stadium. Those filet mignon tacos that Ben Bellarmine was going to treat me to. It ain't happening anymore. 2-1. Geneva by 1 here early. Geneva again on the left side of your screen. This is back row specialist Kayla Coughlin. Williams Right side, it's Anderson who was met at the net by a couple of golden tornadoes. A dig in that back row was Holdeman and fading out of bounds. Good effort there by 13 McNulty, the outside hitter. McNulty to Hunsinger, who winds up and fires. She is such a weapon that can beat you in so many ways. 7.8 assists, best on the team, 5th in the nation. But what maybe separates her from a lot of setters, especially at this level, nearly 2 kills per set. 3-1 Geneva. Down that left side, and McNulty. An attack, and it's now 4-1. Vicky Denny going to call a timeout here to try to settle the troops here in set number 5. '18 National Volleyball Championship brought to you by Aramark with expertise in food, uniforms, and facilities. Aramark lets you focus on what you do best. Aramark, we dream, and we do. I want to say thanks to all of our national tournament sponsors, including the folks at Servant HR, Spinks, Aramark, Bon Secours, Integra Bank, and our good friends at Pepsi. I want to say thanks to the host university, Bob Jones, here in year 52 in Greenville, South Carolina. For over 90 years, they've been equipping leaders to make a difference for the cause of Christ. You can find out a lot more about Bob Jones University by visiting bju.edu. Bob Jones University, learn, love, and lead. And of course, we say thanks to our good friends at the NCCAA. So anytime you can merge athletics and Jesus, it's a good thing. It's a powerful thing, my friends. It's a lot of people that will never step foot in a church and hear about Jesus, but they'll join an Upward program. They'll come watch an NCCA athletic event. They'll allow a team from the NCCAA to serve them as part of community outreach. Sports, such a powerful tool to impact people, and the NCCAA has been doing it for 50 years. Thank you, Dan Wood. Thank you, Ben Bellamy. 4-1 here early. Geneva out of the timeout. The serve by Coughlin. Pushed over the net by Anderson. Down the line, McNulty. Deflected back onto the Golden Tornado side. Another swing, and it's an assisted block as Gaston and Anderson got big and stuffed it for the Bruins. 4-2. Boy, Jordan Anderson has played very well in this national semifinal. Serve here, but a center dump by Hunsinger, scores again. Wendy Smith said she may be the most dynamic player in this championship. And Daphne Hunsinger has not disappointed. 5-2 Geneva. Ready here is Rechtenwald. Into the middle ring. Good dig in that back row by Holdeman. McNulty. Dug up back row by Brooke Beaver and punched over the net by Selena Walker. Left side, McNulty gonna try again. Handled by Bates, swung on by Gaston. Scooped up by Holdeman and pushed over the net on a second pass by Hunsinger. Bates dropped it in. They got the touch they wanted up front. It was Hunsinger that deflected it, but it dropped in front of that Geneva back row, and it's now 5-3. Lauren Muckenschnabel will head to the service line. 5'6" sophomore from Chicago, Illinois. Into the middle, and she strikes again. That was McNulty. McNulty spent last summer in Philadelphia doing some inner-city mission work. Wants to do the same thing again this year, trying to work in maybe Memphis, Tennessee. She has applied for a Teach for America program that may send her somewhere else all across the country. 6-4. The Geneva lead is down to 2. And ready here is Courtney Bates. Bates flat-footed from that serve line, and it's too strong. Boy, good decision by Kayla Coughlin, who has a Magic Johnson smile ear to ear after she realized she made the right decision there. 7-4, Geneva by 3. McNulty ready here. Senior outside hitter. One of 3 seniors on this Geneva squad. Williams into Ring, may have carried it, no call, and Ring, as they deflected it back, Catherine couldn't get there. And it's now 8-4, we'll switch sides. So number 3 leads number 1, 8-4. If you're just joining us, we're in the 5th set. Bob Jones 25-17 in set 1. Geneva 25-18, set 2. Bob Jones 26-24, set 3. And Geneva 25-23 in set number 4. Hunsinger to Kostel, who had a backpedal to get to it. Left side, Beaver stuffed at the net. That was Kostel along with some help from Doffelmeyer. 9-4 Geneva, 5 points away from a ticket to the national championship. Little setter dump there by Williams, and it'll drop in. Big play there by the All-American Williams. Catherine Ring is part of the rotation to the Bob Jones bench. Got Beaver, Williams, and Anderson up front. Selena Walker, the Bob Jones libero. Receive back row, tight to the net, and it's an ace. 9-6. Huge play there on the ace out of the hands of Selena Walker. 5th set, 9-6 Geneva. We play to 15. Winner will take on the winner of number 2 Maranatha and number 4 Emmaus. Punched over by McNulty. Left side, Beaver took something off of it and drops in. A good decision there by Beaver. Had the first kill of this 5th set and had one here that forces Wendy Smith to call a timeout and talk about it. 9-7, the Geneva lead down to 2. It's a 3-0 run for the Bruins to cut it to a 2-point deficit. Bob Jones' 3rd appearance in school history, 3rd consecutive appearance. Geneva College, first ever appearance in an NCCA 2 national championship. First time they have ever faced in an NCCA Division II foe. School of 1400 up near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I automatically assumed when I heard Geneva College, I have a friend that played at Geneva, but did not know. I assumed it was Geneva, Pennsylvania. We started our prep for this championship. What I learned is the school's named in honor of Geneva, Switzerland, which is the center of the 16th century Reformed Christian faith movement. Thus the name Geneva College. 9-7. Big play here. Selena Walker, fresh out of the ace that took us to the timeout. Walker ready. Received back row by McNulty. They go to the middle, and Kostel does it again. Casey Kostel had 2 kills at the end of that 4th set that were season-saving. That one may be described as ticket punching. 10-7. Ready here is Schick. Williams on a back set to Anderson that was off the money. Anderson did a good job just to keep it in play. Kostel in attack. Muckenschnabel got enough of it to keep it in play. Back set here, another swing by Kostel. Left side, Beaver gonna push it over on a 3rd ball. Left side, Dulgas, and the attack isn't gonna count. They're gonna call a double hit on the All-American Hunsinger. (10-8). Geneva by 2. All-American setter Rachel Williams with the serve here. Dulgas navigating around the antenna, and she didn't navigate it. Antenna violation, it's now 10-9. Williams with a chance to possibly tie it here. Up front, it's Gaston, Beaver, and Anderson for Vicky Denny and Bob Jones. Right side, Costal, and she strikes again. Casey Costal with ice in those veins. 11-9. Costal will sit down. Yes, Grace Holdeman will check back in. Holdeman the serve here. 16 aces, 6th on the team. Gets the all clear from Diane Penner. Back row on serve receive Bates. Walker had to help her and help her quickly. And an attack attempt by Hunsinger as she wound up with that left hand, but it never got there. And it's now 11-10. Brooke Beaver, 76 aces on the year, which is the best of any Bruin. Left side, Dulgas, and it never got there. 4 hits, and it's now 11 apiece. Wendy Smith says, I need a timeout. Are you kidding me? What time was our second semifinal supposed to start? 7:30? We're going to have like a 9 o'clock start by the time this one is over. Unbelievable. I'll say this about both of these teams, and Kent Delosier, we talked about it earlier in some of our coverage. One of the things in sports that's so important, when you have somebody against the ropes, you have got to finish them off. You have the momentum. You've got everything working in your favor. You've hit them with jab after jab. When it's time to knock them out, you've got to knock them out. Geneva has not done that in this 5th set. Bob Jones definitely did not do it in the 4th set. And we have seen teams throughout this championship. Heck, yesterday, Toccoa Falls. Well, I'm thinking Toccoa Falls, where was that? The Maranatha match on day number 1. They had some opportunities, didn't they? Well, Maranatha had to go on that 6-0 run in the 5th set. Toccoa led 13-9. Doggone it, when you got them against the ropes, you got to finish them off. Who's going to finish here? Tied at 11. Left side, McNulty. A dig by Beaver, punched over by Bates. Hunsinger, left side, Dulgas challenged at the net, and then it hit the antenna out of bounds. 12-11. Coughlin in. Dulgas will sit down. And a timeout, Vicky Denny and Bob Jones. Geneva is out of timeouts, and so is Bob Jones. So boy, this has been fun. I just unbelievable. And we're not done. We still got 2 teams that know everything about each other, Emmaus and Maranatha, that are going to play for a 4th time. 2 teams out of that North region. Emmaus stunned Maranatha back on September 11th when they came into Maranatha and beat them in 4 sets. Maranatha returned the favor and won at Emmaus later in the year. And then they met in the North Regional Final, and Maranatha won that one in straight sets. So when you see somebody 3 times, you know their tendencies, you know what they're eating for lunch. And so there'll be no surprises when Emmaus and Maranatha get after it. Since the changeover, Bob Jones. Here we go, 12-11. Geneva by 1. Right side, a touch up front on an attack by Anderson. Left side, McNulty, scooped up by Bates. Gonna little give and go as they feed Bates again. Blocked right back onto the Bob Jones side of the net, and a free ball by Beaver. Hunsinger gonna wind and fire. Controlled this time by the Bruins. Punched over the net by Bates. Hunsinger with another big wind. And the Bruins withstand it again. To the middle, Anderson with a dig. Back row, it's Kayla Coughlin. Left side, McNulty. Huge dig by Beaver. Left side, Bates took something off of it. And what? They're going to call a net violation. And I don't think it's on Hunsinger, who looks perplexed. I think they called it on Hoppel, the middle hitter, 7. So all that, and then a net violation. Tied at 12. Tight to the net, Hunsinger. And it drops in. Hunsinger had no other option there. There was no way she was going to set that volleyball. Too tight to the net. And the fact that she was left-handed as she approached it allowed her an opportunity to at least make a play. 3rd kill for Hunsinger in this 5th and deciding set. Ready is Rechtenwald. Tight to the net, Williams, punched over by Ring. And that one maybe was going to be too strong. Beaver didn't know it. Hunsinger down the line, McNulty met at the net. McNulty, another attempt, and it's too strong, tied at 13. Bruin Nation becoming a 7th man. Warren Muckenschnabel ready here. Received by Coughlin. Into the middle, McNulty, and it's wide left. It's 14-13. Wendy Smith is out of timeout. So is Vicki Denny. A ticket to the national championship. Here we go. Muckenschnabel. Hunsinger. Left side, McNulty. Stuffed back onto the Geneva side, and it's wide left. And Bob Jones has done it. Listen to this crowd. You didn't get this in Kissimmee, Florida, Kent DeLozier. 15-13. The Bruins are going to play for a national championship. One of the best volleyball matches I have called at the D2 level. What an effort by both of these teams. (15-13). Bob Jones in impressive fashion. A thriller in Manila, Neil Ring. The Bruins going to play for a national championship tomorrow at 1 o'clock. They'll take on either number 2 Maranatha or number 4 Emmaus. Well, if you didn't like that one, as Dick Dameron, my college basketball coach, would say, if that doesn't get you fired up, then your wood must be wet, is what he would say. Coach D, that was a good one tonight. Bob Jones, 3rd year as an athletic program, as a volleyball program, going to take another major step forward and going to have an opportunity at a national title. It would be number 15 for the Hall of Fame head coach Vicki Denny. Final score, Bob Jones 25-17 in the first, Geneva 25-18 in the second. The Bruins 26-24 in the third, Geneva 25-23 in the fourth, and Bob Jones 15-13 in set number 5 as the Bruins work their way around this stadium to say thanks to Bruin Nation, the 7th man that helps them get to the national championship. With the win, Bob Jones to 35-5. They are now 16-0 against Division II schools. Geneva with the loss finishes up 2018 at 21-14. We say thanks to both of these coaches, Dr. Vicki Denny on the Bob Jones side, and boy, we really appreciate Wendy Smith. First time we had ever reached out to her, she could have said take a hike, and answered our questionnaire, did a phone interview, gave us every nugget of information. Coach Smith can't wait to do it again in 2019. Really excited to see Geneva and what they're going to bring to NCCAA Division II volleyball, and we got a glimpse of it this weekend. And I guess to the rest of the NCCAA Division II, watch out. You better be ready. Only 3 seniors on this Geneva squad. They will be back for sure in 2019. We're going to take a break, catch our breath a little bit. Coming up, number 2, Maranatha, number 4, Emmaus. The winner will take on Bob Jones tomorrow at 1 p.m. We want to thank our entire crew, Faith Hunter, our cameraman, David Lurdy, Jeff Carr, our executive producers, Kent Delozier, our on-site statistician. We say thanks most of all to you for watching. If you enjoyed it half as much as we did bringing it to you, then it was a job well done. It was a success. We enjoyed it. We'll talk to you in just a few minutes. About 25 minutes from now, we'll go on the air and count you down to first serve with number 2, Maranatha, number 4, Emmaus. So somewhere in the vicinity of about 8:15. We'll talk to you then. Until then, this is Rick Cooper, one of the voices of the NCCAA, saying thanks for watching. The Bruins headed to the national championship. Have a good night, everybody.